In this video, I'm going to talk about parent-teacher meeting guidelines. These guidelines have been prepared by our DERT Meghalaya. They're excellent guidelines, so let's get on to it. So these guidelines are made by DERT Meghalaya, and the purpose of making these guidelines are basically to improve the functioning of these parent-teacher meetings which are there and which happen in most of the schools, but there is no consolidated guideline and there is no standard procedure on how to conduct these meetings, because these can really be very, very effective. So thank you DERT for these wonderful guidelines. Now let us see what are these guidelines all about. So going to the index first. So basically understanding what these guidelines essentially provide. So one is obviously how we can use this handbook, then what is exactly is PTM, what are the practices for effective PTM, how can we implement, how can we plan, and what kind of activities we can do, what are the sample templates, and what are the thematic resources basically. So this is the content of the book. And now very important is that how do we use this handbook. Often we see that many guidelines are made and many TLMs, for example, we see a lot of TLMs being published, being created, but how to effectively put that to use, that is very, very important. And on a similar note, PTMs are being conducted by most of the schools, but how effective are they? So that is why it is very important, I feel, for every principal, for every headmaster, headmistress, the head teachers to go through these guidelines, the teachers as well, and the parents as well, so that they can all get the best out of these PTMs. So it is suggested in the guidelines that at least 3 times a year you should have mega PTMs where all the parents are coming. Obviously, this is a logistics issue in some of the bigger schools which cannot accommodate all the parents at one go, so that can be in 2 phases. Now, what are the key practices? School heads should discuss the planning and execution of PTM with the head teachers. It should not be essentially taken as just another meeting or a formality. One should plan for it. One should have pre-meetings with the teachers, that is the head of the institution, the principal or the headmaster. They should have a meeting with all the teachers and discuss what are we going to do in the PTM, what are the theme which we are going to discuss, what are the feedback, how are we going to take the feedback. All those things should be discussed, and this handbook is a step-by-step guide to do that. The plan here suggested is a generic one, and obviously the schools have to customize it based on their different requirements. For example, there can be a school with having art stream, there can be having with science, there can be different grade levels. One can be secondary, some schools can be elementary, some schools may have pre-primary, some may not have pre-primary. So there are different type of schools which are there, and there are different geographies to it as well. The demographics are also different. Some are urban schools, some are rural schools. So there's a different environment altogether, and that is why you have to customize your plan for your PTM. So there is no one size fits all. We must customize these standard templates to the best of our environment so that the plan is optimal for that particular school. And obviously there can be many themes which we will see in the slides to come. So now about PTM. Now this is, why is this so important, the parent-teacher meetings? Now, if you analyze the time which is spent, of course, during the daytime, the kids are at, school, but most of the time is spent at home, including the holidays which are there. And maybe in a year, 200 days of school days. But other than that, 60 plus days are spent completely at home. And the best part of the day is also spent at home. So it's very important that what's happening in the school is in sync with what is happening in the house, because generally what happens is that children see parents and teachers as 2 set of role models, and if there is contrast and if there's contradictions, then the child is supposed to get confused. Definitely he or she will get confused. So it's very important that parents know what is happening in the school, and the extension of that should happen at home. It's very important that sync is created. And how will this be created? By ensuring that the parents come to these PTMs, they understand what's happening in their school, they are in sync with what the school is planning or attempting, and how their child is progressing, what are the procedures, what are the pros, what are the cons. So all these things, the sync has to come, and for that's why these PTMs are very, very important. Now these PTMs will help us in what? Basically, I have seen that, yes, now in this age where most of the parents are working, so they don't find time. It's difficult to find time for all these meetings, right? And if we say, but it's just thrice a year, and it will have a great impact on what's going on with your child. So PTM helps in involving parents in academic growth of students. If you don't attend the PTM, if you just see the report card at the end, you will perhaps not understand, is the learning really happening? Because those numbers ultimately do not tell a story. They're just numbers, and they're just a number which the child has achieved in a summative kind of assessment in a one-time test. So whether learning has happened, whether values have been inculcated, all those factors cannot be, you cannot understand all these things just by seeing the numbers at the last. So that's why involving parents is very important. Discussing behavioral problems. Now, in teenage, there are a lot of behavioral patterns, behavioral issues which are there. Why a kid is behaving in a certain way which may not be correct. To understand that, parents must understand what is happening in school. They must understand from where this is coming, and that is why these PTMs can really help. They can encourage attendance. Obviously, many parents who may not have time or who are not at home for most of the time may not even know whether the child is going regularly to school or not. So that's another. So if the updates are not there from the school, it becomes difficult. So it's always a great thing to catch up in one of the PTMs, to look into the attendance and other aspects of the child's growth. Build a good relationship with the parents. It's very important. The parents should feel that they are being welcomed into this school family, and they should see what all efforts are being put by the school for their child. So that's very, very important, and they can only get an opportunity to see this in the PTMs, because they cannot come to the school every day. They don't have access to what's happening in the school. So it's very important that they come to these PTMs and see what's happening. Highlight the potential, abilities and skills and positive behavior of students. Now, when it comes to knowledge, when it comes to skills, when it comes to proclivities, I perceive that teachers are much more in the know of things than the parents, because they are seeing the academic side of the student, they are seeing the inquisitive side of the student. That is why they may be able to diagnose it more correctly, or help the child more correctly of what his interests are and what he or she can do about it. So it's very important to highlight that potential and ability and skills and the positive behavior of the student to the parents. So that can only happen through the PTMs. Showcase the efforts being taken for social development, school development, and achievements of government school, or any school for that matter. Yes, as I said, the parents need to see what's happening in the school, how are the procedures being followed, what are the methods being used, and that will definitely give the parents a lot of confidence, and they will build a very good relationship with the school. And if they are in sync, they will attend the PTMs regularly, and that will again help in that great balance and great equation between the teachers and the parents. Now, going forward, what are the objective? Like, why are we having these meetings thrice a day? Why can't we just send a report card? To strengthen the connection between school and parents, to create a positive environment for students. This is what we have discussed in the previous slide. To showcase the progress. It's very important that we go beyond the numbers and show what the kid is really learning and really applying, and what are his or her interest areas. It's very important to showcase that. to partner with parent. As I said, like most of the time is spent at home, so we must partner with the parents to find creative solutions to address the challenges of students and schools, because they are like teachers, they are teachers at home. So the two set of teachers must collaborate to review enrollment, attendance, all these basics pertaining to the school. Parents play obviously a big role, and they should be made aware about it, and their opinions and their feedback and their comments should be taken before the SMC or the MC makes a decision for the school. And also to educate the parents on various topics related to development of their children. Many people now, especially in rural areas, the parents may not have enough knowledge about how nutrition is impacting. How important nutrition is. The most of the brain development happens in 0 to 5 years, and if the kid is not given nutritious meal during that time, that may result in something which cannot be recovered later. So these kind of knowledge and awareness perhaps is not there in people residing in rural areas. So it's very important that they are told this thing about nutrition, about child safety, about positive parenting. And that is why PTMs are very important. So I hope the objectives of PTMs are very clear on different fronts and how they're so important. Now, how do we make them effective? We have understood why PTMs are so important, what are the objectives of these PTMs, and then now coming to the most important part, that how do we make them effective? Organizing is one thing, but are they being effective? Are the parents getting engaged? Are they getting educated? Are they feeling empowered? So these are the questions. So one obvious method is educate, engage, and empower. Educate meaning you tell them the different factors that influence the children's development and well-being. Engage would mean involving parents, and empower is that enabling parents to make those decisions that positively impact both the school and their children's growth. One-on-one conversations are very important. Sometimes the issues are quite serious and they are not generic, they are specific to that child. And it's very important that the same be discussed between the parents and the teachers and the headmaster or the principal. So one-on-one conversations, whenever it is required, they are extremely crucial in helping the child. Then there can be thematic conversations. There can be generic issues in a particular area of child safety, of nutrition, of gender sensitivity, of positive parenting, and of child marriage. These can be generic discussions. There can be themes of the multiple PTMs which are being organized by the school. Each time you can choose a theme and build the PTM around that. There can be exhibitions, there can be debate, there can be talks by students, there can be talks by parents, there can be group discussions. Various things which can be done as a thematic conversation in a PTM. Now, how do we implement this PTM? Now, who are all the stakeholders? We must understand them. Head of the school, it can be principal or headmaster, then comes the teachers and then the parents. These are the three pillars of a PTM in any school. Now, having understood the pillars, now it's very important to monitor and evaluate. In public administration, there is this saying that whatever gets measured gets done. It's very important to measure what are you doing in your PTM. Is it just a generic discussion? Or are we evaluating, or are we monitoring, or are we taking audio, video feedback from parents? Or are they filling up any kind of observation form? These are important points to remember while organizing a PTM. PTM observation form is very important. What have the parents observed? Can the PTMs be made better? Do the parents have any suggestions? Everything can go into PTM observation form. Diksha platform can be used for giving micro improvement plans. Suddenly everything cannot be improved, so there has to be micro improvement plans for the school, for the teachers. We can do it together. Now, what are the plan and activities? So before you conduct the PTM, there are certain kind of activities. Of course, we have to send some kind of invitation to the parents. We have to announce the PTM, do publicity, because everyone in this world is so busy that they may not be made aware. If you just send a note, they may forget to attend. They may forget to save this event in their calendar. Many things can happen. So that is why awareness is very important. Prepare a welcome song that feels very nice when performed by the students for their parents. Parents will feel proud. It will be an icebreaker. It will be a nice start to the PTM meeting. Prepare students' progress card beforehand. This is one activity which has to be done before the PTM. And the head of the school should have a meeting with all the teachers before they organize the PTM so that they can chalk out a plan to make this PTM effective. So that they can chalk out what are the modalities, to what grain of detail are we going in this PTM. Do we have to do a thematic activity or a generic activity? So these are the things which before the PTM it's very important that the head teacher and the teachers are on the same page before we go for the PTM. Now during PTM, very important to welcome the parents. They should feel welcomed. They should feel at home when they are at school. Due attention should be given. Display a welcome banner. You can have a welcome song. There can be many things. Educate them. Decide on the theme and educate them. Tell them all, give them all the information about the school. Give them a presentation on the school. Where is this school going? What does the school plan in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? So it's very important for the parents to know because their children are in it. You engage them in interactive discussions. What are their observations? What do they think of the school? What is the public image of the school? It's very important to know for the head of the school, for the teachers. And then you engage them. You set up exhibition stalls. Let students display their talent, their knowledge, their application of mind. There can be a gallery, a display corner, art, poems, stories, writings, anything. You can organize games where parents come together. Parents and students can play together. Parents, students and teachers can play together. It can be like a big family outing. Arrange student performances. They can range from dance, skits, songs and cultural activities. Prepare and lead a parent's pledge is very important. What are the roles and responsibility of parents? That can be incorporated in a wonderful pledge. Now, how do you empower the parents? You can share 2 positive aspects about their child. You can discuss an area where the child can improve. You can review the child's academic progress, talk about the child's overall physical and mental being is very important. Yes, academics are important, but so is health. In fact, health can be more important. Health is more important. If the child is not healthy and fit, he or she will not be able to learn, will not be able to concentrate, will not be able to play, all these things. If he or she is not healthy, so health. And now in the age of social media, in the age of smartphones, in the age of dopamine, mental health is also very, very crucial. So all these things, you have to discuss it with the parents. You have to set expectations. You have to outline expectations. How can we collaborate in the next steps as teachers, as parents? Provide a thank you note for parents, for those who are really involving them to make sure that their child is learning, to make sure that the child is following what the school is advising. You can distribute supplementary books and materials for parents on positive parenting. So these are few steps by which you can empower the parents and make the whole thing very effective. What are the things which you need to do after the PTM? So the PTM is over, but the tasks still remain. You collect the testimonials from parents, students, very important. Feedback, any kind, audio, visual, written. Feedback is very important for the school to improve their ways, to mend that if there are any gaps, gather pictures, videos, put it on social media. That is very important these days. Everyone has to know what's happening. Everyone should be on the same page. So these are the tasks which you do after the PTM, and take these feedback seriously and improve later. How do you invite the parents to the PTM? It can be a home visit. If it's a small school, all the households are nearby, it can be a home visit. It can be a phone call. It can be messages, push messages automatically sent to all. It can be in the school app, or it can be invitation card made by their own children. These are innovative ways of inviting. Now, how does a sample PTM plan look like? Welcoming parents, as we discussed, is very important. That can have in the initial 10-15 minutes. Then showcase once they come. These can be showcasing events, can be there for 20 minutes where they see the art gallery, student achievement, and various things done by the students. Then setting context is very important. The head of the school ideally should do that. The teacher should do that. Context setting. What are we going to discuss in this PTM? And then Q&A is also important because you have to let them voice their concerns. This should followed by empowerment, one-on-one conversations about their children with the teachers, with the subject teachers, with the class teachers. To collect feedback is very important. So a substantial time should be given for collecting feedback from the students. So this is the plan for holding an effective PTM. You can make a monthly plan. As I said, there can be different levels. There can be different phases of holding PTM. So every month there can be a different theme for each section. So these are suggestive ones. You can always contextualize. Now coming to thematic resources. What do you do in a creative workshop? Creative workshop is basically displaying the student work. It's very important to let parents know what are the artistic things their kids are doing. It can be any form of art. It can be poems. It can be stories. It can be anything. It can be display of any art. Performing arts as well. How many exhibition stalls you want to do, that depends on the logistics of the school, which can be arranged. Choose a spacious area. Make sure the area allows easy movement. All these basics you have to do before the PTM. During PTM, you ensure that some students are there as guides who will take these parents to all these stalls. They will answer their questions. It's very important to ensure that all parents explore these kind of stalls, allow them to move freely, allow them to spend some time with these exhibitions, encourage parents to leave positive comments and feedbacks, let them interact with other children, and then thank the parents for taking out time to see the student workbooks and displays. Parents' playtime. Now, games are things which bring us together, any set of people. So to bring the parents into the school family, to make a good relationship, a good bond between the teachers, the parents and the students, there can be different games. These are some of the suggestions. You can see in detail these guidelines, but you can contextualize and have your own games. It can be anything, whatever to your imagination. It can be anything. Spotlight on talent. There can be different talent displays also, which we often see on school days, on foundation days. This can also be during the PTM. The extent of which can be decided by the school and the logistics which permit that. A very important part of this guideline is this. Parents' pledge. We've heard of student pledge. The pledge that students take every day in the morning assembly. In the PTMs, parents can also take a pledge. What are their roles and responsibilities? How they are going to help the students? How they are going to play a role in the school? All those things can be part of that pledge which is to be taken by the parent. A sample pledge is given here. that says that I pledge to support my child's learning by creating a positive and engaging environment, encouraging environment, stay in touch with the teachers. I will encourage my child to do their best in both studies and personal growth. I'll be involved by attending school meetings. Promote a love for learning, very important. Set a good example for my child by showcasing respect, kindness, responsibility, inculcating values, virtues. Very important. It's a wonderful sample pledge made by DERT. You can improvise, make it even better, make it contextualized to your school, to your setting, to your region. But this parents' pledge is very important. What are some more suggestive activities? It can be anything. It can be a family talent show. It can be a parent roundabout. It can be a cooking contest. It can be a parent and student plantation drive. It can be anything. The idea is to involve everyone as a group so that they feel involved. The concept of positive parenting is coming up. It's very important, the role which parents can play in the learning cycle of their children. These are few suggestions that the parents must do. They must appreciate the child's effort. Whatever they are trying to do, they are reading, they are drawing. The efforts made by the child should be appreciated. That way they'll learn the value of efforts. That way they'll learn the value of hard work. It's very important to appreciate. To be a role model is very important. Children look up to the parents as role models. They want to become their parents one day. So it's very important that the parents understand that how their children are looking at them as role models. So they have to behave in a certain way in front of their children. It's very important to give time. Now, time is the most important currency today in this world. You can have everything, but if you don't get time from your loved ones, you don't have anything. So spending quality time is very important. Use respectful tone. It's very important that we are very conscious as parents how we are talking, because the kids are always listening. They're observing. They're seeing you as role models, and they will learn unconsciously through your behavior. So it's very important to use respectful tones. Understanding child safety is very important. And what can parents do in it? Talk to them about their day. Know their friends. Understand if they felt unsafe at any point during the day. Tell them why it was unsafe and what to do in certain conditions like that. How to stay healthy. How the importance of playing. All those things. It's important that parents take care of all this. How can parents create a learning space at home? Most of the time, the children will spend at home. So it's important that home, along with the school, is a good learning environment. Choosing the right space is very, very important, where your child learns or studies his books or other books or comic books. The right space is very important. Keeping it organized is very important. Right from the beginning, if the child sees the organization, the discipline, the arrangement, it becomes a habit. It becomes a culture. It becomes a part of the DNA. So keeping it organized is very important. Making it colorful is very important. It will bring smiles. Following routines is very important. When should a child read? What time he should play? How much time they can spend on a screen is very important to inculcate a habit of routine right from the very beginning. Now, 6 ways parents can engage with their children during summer holidays. In Meghalaya, we have winter holidays. Or in any form of holiday, what can you do with your children? Playtime is very important. Spend time to play with your children every day. It can be any game. It can be anything. Just spend some time. Play some games with your child. Story time is very important. Children learn from stories. Children learn values. Children learn the importance of discipline, of habit, of compassion, of humility. through stories. It's very important to tell stories. It's very important to understand numbers through the exercise of counting. That is the foundation of mathematics. That is the foundation of calculation, of science, of logic, of general mental ability. Cooking time. Involve children in simple cooking work. It's very important. Cooking is a wonderful skill which everyone should know. Right from the early age, if they can know, they will find it easier later to be independent. It's a survival skill which everyone should know. Reading is very important. In this age of computers, YouTube, social media, less and less people are reading the books. It's very difficult now to inculcate the reading habit. But if done early, in the early age, it becomes an addiction, a good one for that matter. News time is very important. Watch the news with the children every day. What's going on around the world? That kind of learning, the desire for learning is very important later on when we go for different exams. If right from the beginning they have been following what's happening around the world, it becomes easier to crack many exams. So news time is very important for general understanding of what's happening around you. So these are the things which you can do. What you can do in the exam time as parents. Create a relaxed and happy environment. Do not put stress. In this generation, skills are more important than numbers. So do not give them targets that they have to score 100%, they have to score 90%. Help them learn. Create a relaxed environment at home. There shouldn't be any distractions. Keep the smartphones away, keep the social media away. Healthy and nutritious food is very important. What we eat is what we become. If we are not healthy, nothing will materialize. So it's very important to eat and be healthy. Encourage children to take break while studying. Continuous studying, sitting in one sedentary lifestyle posture is very bad. Let them move around after some time. Let them take break. Let them, do some fun activities by taking breaks. Communicate with teachers regularly. That is why these PTM guidelines. You must attend all the PTMs. And beyond that also be in touch with your teachers. Communicate with your teachers. Follow up what's happening with your child at school. So these are the things which you can basically do to help your child. What happens when the result comes? Stressful day for the child. What you can do? Ask questions. Ask them how they are doing, how they are feeling. What did you do well? What you could have done better? What support do you need to improve? Ask them in a friendly way. Do not raise your voice or make them anxious. Just with a smile, try to understand what has happened in the last academic year and what are the learnings for your child and also for you. Celebrate your child efforts. The first thing you should do is to appreciate their efforts. Irrespective of what the result is, they have put in some hard work, and that deserves appreciation. Your appreciation, and it will mean a lot. Whatever the result is, those appreciation from the parents mean a lot for the child. Stop comparing these results with others. The competition should be with oneself. Have we improved from previous results, from previous academic year? That should be the approach of every child. We should help them improve. We should help them identify what they want to do, what they want to read more, what they want to become. That is the responsibility of the parents. Give them ideas on what they could do to improve next time. Help them, give them resources, give them tools, give them the right environment to improve. So these are the things which you can do. Gender sensitivity and equality is also important. Right from the very beginning, it's very important to understand these topics. Engage both girls and boys in doing household chores. Don't differentiate. Don't give such roles, different roles for son, different roles for daughter. And do not say the wrong things. Don't stereotype. Sports are not for girls. This is so wrong. Boys, men are strong. This is so wrong. This should not be said to a child. Say gender neutral things. Right from the beginning, let them grow in an environment of gender equality. What you can do in a holidays with their children. Consciously engage in conversation. It's very important to keep talking with your children, to have that bond, to continue that connection, to understand them better. The problem of screen time we have already discussed. Limit it. Let it be for learning, not for addictions, not for gaming. Practice a routine to engage the children. Anything. You need to find ways in which you can spend time. It can be anything. It can be watering the plants together. It can be making a kitchen garden. It can be cleaning the house. It can be anything. But the important thing is parents should engage. So this is all about the guidelines of parent-teacher meetings, and also very wonderfully put the positive parenting suggestions. And these are the wonderful people who are behind these guidelines of PTM made by DERT. Thank you to all the reviewers, to all the design team members, and to DERT as a whole for these wonderful guidelines. Hope you like this video. If you want more guidelines to be described in this video format, please leave these in the comment section, and please share this video with every parent of every child of Meghalaya, studying in the schools of Meghalaya, with every school, with every principal, with every teachers. Let's make our PTMs effective. Thank you. Khub le shabun, Mithala.